Welcome back to Design Build Workshop. Today we're going to talk about the design and build process of the front bumper system for my Jeep. So when I first designed this, I designed it as kind of as a complete system. So the brush guard was actually part of the bumper system. This is a 2x6 piece of tubing that I picked up from a scrap pile, essentially, which we re-welded, and we'll see those photos later. And then these other pieces are all 3/8 inch steel, so they're pretty heavy, and they'll be able to handle a lot of damage, and they'll be pretty durable. And then these I call them bumperette, but these small bumperette pieces on the sides are also 3/8, and that's all bolted into the 2x6 piece as well. And then I've got my shackle mounts. They're welded from this side, and they're also through bolted from the back. And then I've got this piece, which will show from a different angle, and that's what actually mounts the 2x6 to the frame itself. And this is 1/4 inch plate, both top and bottom. One of the things that I wanted to keep when I was designing this was I wanted to keep this cover. And I've seen a lot of times when when they have a winch mount, this gets deleted. And it's just an aesthetic thing, but I kind of wanted this, so I actually extended the bumper a little further out. So I had room to put the winch, which is not in here yet. However, at first when I did this, I felt like it was sticking out way too far, and I didn't like the look of it. I decided to live with it for a little bit, and when I did, this actually was fine. I wasn't worried about how it looked when it came out, and I've gotten actually a lot of compliments on the look of the Jeep. So let's go ahead and we'll go into the computer and we'll look at some stills and go over the design and build process of this bumper. Okay, so this is the first revision, and you can see that we've got the 2x6 tubing. And what I did initially was thinking that I would have a mounting plate here, and then the bottom mounting plate's not designed yet. And there would actually be a cut through right here for the winch wire to go through, or the rope. And after thinking about that a little bit longer, I decided to kind of get away from that. You can also see the brush bar here is actually extended, angled forward, which I initially really liked and kind of wanted to do, and then I changed that towards the end, mainly for strength purposes. And you can see this one's a little bit lighter than the one that was actually on the Jeep. And here you can see the shackles are just bolted through, and that's just to kind of get this set up and designed to see what it looked like. And then, let's see, the next revision is this one. So now we've got the brush bar as it was designed. So, and then we've got some of the aluminum pieces also in here. And I was still using this cutout for the winch wire, and still don't have the bottom kind of fleshed out here yet. But so I actually went with this design for the brush bar, which I do like. Just gotta close these out. So here's the last revision, and this is what you basically has seen when we were looking at the actual finished product. And I've got the bumperette pieces on here now. Some of those are just, the idea behind these was just to be a little more decorative, but also to protect lights that I wanted to mount on here. So I wanted something in front of those lights, or at least leading in front of those lights, so they wouldn't get damaged if I hit anything. This is not the shackle mount that I went with. Mine are actually welded. And then this is the mounting piece that we were talking about before. We're gonna go ahead and open that up. So this is the component, but you can see there's a split right there, right? And that's why we had to cut that out, because there was no way as a single piece this could get formed in the brake that the fabricator I had make this piece, he couldn't accomplish that bend. The holes aren't drilled in here yet, and when I had done the finished one, I think I already had the holes in here, but I probably drilled those myself. And all of the drilling and tapping, so all of these bumperette pieces, and well, the bumperette pieces specifically, are drilled and tapped into the 2x6. So you don't see the other side of those bolts. Everything's done internally on those. This, however, is through bolted, right? So it bolts through these through this plate right here, and then this plate right here, and that goes all the way through. One ends up right on top of this, which you saw, and the other one ends up going through the back plate of this. So all in all, this came out pretty well. I made the bumper narrower than what it is stock, so my wheels actually extend past, or my tires actually extend, past this point. For the reason being is, approach angle and all that kind of thing. And then as far as the build went, it was pretty smooth, and we'll go over that in some of the photos. If you have any questions about the design process, please leave those in the comments as well. So I started with a 2x6 piece of tubing, like I said, and first thing we do was to mark it up and figure out how to cut the angles so I could re-weld those parts. So you can see here, that's what's being done. Once it was cut, then I went ahead and heated the section where the first bend had to occur, and then I folded that over, as you can see here, and then tacked it in place so that the second bend could be done, which is on the very end. And then once that is bent on that very last piece, then I could go ahead and trim what was left there and then basically weld the whole thing up. So in this photo, I've got the brush guard going into place, and the thing that happened with the brush guard was that the outer piece, or the secondary piece, was not able to be formed from the fabricator. So I sent him the initial drawings, and they were done. The one was done what was already formed, and the outer one had to be done straight because he could not make that radius to match what I had drawn. So I just said, just go ahead and give me that piece in one straight piece, and then just take the tabs on the ends and fold and do a 90 on those so I could mount it to the bumper. And then I went ahead and heated the section up and then formed that around. Being that I was working as a blacksmith a while ago, I was pretty confident I could get that radius done correctly. So you can see here, that was bent over, and it matched really well, and everything matched up on the bottom. So I had no issues with that, and I just used those 1, 2, 3 spacer blocks to kind of hold everything in place while I was forming those outside pieces. And here you can see the bumperettes are starting to be installed. Those were, just mounted through and then drilled and tapped into the 2x6 itself. So that was fairly straightforward. So it was just holding these in place and then center punching those holes, and then doing a whole lot of drilling through the 2x6. And here you can see where it's welded up and cleaned. And then the same thing with the brush guard. It was kind of cleaned up and smoothed out. So I'm really happy how that came out. I didn't have any issues with it, and the radius wasn't a problem for me. So it worked out well. Here it is, fully mocked up on the bench. Everything's kind of in place. I don't think the shackle mounts are all the way welded yet. Everything was just kind of put in place at this point. But these will give you some different views with the aluminum pieces installed as well. Like I said, all the hardware is stainless, so it would stay decent in the weather. And here it is mounted up before it was powder coated, and you can see how far it sticks out. And like I said, initially that bothered me, but it's grown on me since, and I'm actually pretty happy with the look now. Just some different angles of it mounted up. And once I got it powder coated, of course that's like Christmas, like I've said before. So got that all put together. So I'm really happy with how it came out. It was a pretty clean job. It wasn't all that difficult. Probably the toughest part was going ahead and forming that outside radius that had to happen on the brush guard. But other than that, everything was pretty much straightforward, and it's pretty stout. Like I said, I think it's going to be a really heavy duty bumper. I'm not worried about, running into stuff with it. So really happy with how it came out. So if you look as far as the way everything is mounted, these are 1/2-inch bolts. These are 3/8, and the bolts that hold the brush guard are through bolted. And you can see all through there, that's all through bolted. And you can also see how this 1/4-inch plate works. This was designed as one piece, but when I had this laser cut and fabricated, the fabricator could not form this tight of a bend on this brake. So what we did is we made this into two pieces, and you can see the split right there. Right, so they actually touch. So all I did was modify the drawing, and we made this split right here so that this thing can be put together. And this is bolted to the frame here with the original bolts. Same thing here. So everything is, as far as standard hardware is used right here with the original. And then of course this is 1/4 inch, so it's way heavier than what the frame is itself. So I'm not too worried about what's going to happen if I hit anything with this, other than probably damaging my frame. So the two open holes here are for lights, and we're going to mount those later today and see how that goes. And then shackles are set right there. All the hardware is stainless, and then where the bolts go through here, this is aluminum. So I turned this on the lathe and gave it a little bit of a polish or a brush, and that's what we've got going on there. And I've got that design idea kind of going through the Jeep, this kind of satin black with the brushed silver and stainless steel hardware, which is what you'll see on my mirrors here as well. Thanks again for joining me on Design Build Workshop. Please like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it, and I hope to see you next time.